our agenda today is the first order of business is to approve the minutes of the January meeting, not the February meeting. We didn't have a February meeting. And I don't know how many of you have actually seen the minutes because Lori emailed them out maybe half hour ago. So are we in a position to be able to approve those, or are we not?
Before we approve the minutes, can we first do a roll call vote so that we have a recorded?
Quorum. Okay, point. Okay. So, Jay,
I'm here.
this is, you can practice your on off with your thing here. Carol Collins, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Tara?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. George? You were here.
Present.
Oh, there you are. Hello, you still with us? Oops. Marla's vanished.
Here.
You're here. Okay.
You got to give him a minute to unmute, Nancy.
Okay. Thank you. Michael Patavina?
Present.
Great. Hannah?
Here.
And Phil Elmer.
Here.
Okay. And Jacob, are you still with us?
MJ Adams
Yes,
is
I
also
am.
here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I not call your name?
No, I just talk a lot, so I'm clearly here, but I'm here.
Okay. Well, we have quorum in spades. Thank you, everybody.
Do we also have guests? And can they identify themselves?
Jacob, are you still here with us?
Yes. If my microphone is working.
Excellent. So thank you for joining us. Are there any other guests?
Lindsay
Lori is here.
Okay. Anyone else?
So it sounds like we have Lori and Lindsay also added on.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah,
Before we begin the content of the agenda, I have another procedural question. I know that the meeting was posted, I believe, as 5 to 6:30. And I don't think there's a problem with starting late. Meetings sometimes start late. I'm wondering if we need to end at 6:30.
I think we should make a commitment to leave at 6:30. I think that's what everybody has agreed to.
I also think that we have to realize that everybody's doing the best that they can. And we're offering some flexibility in this time. So the meeting is recorded. We're taking minutes. We have a quorum. We are a legitimately organized body that has published the agenda, has published access to this meeting. I think we are operating well within the intent of the open meeting law.
Thank you, MJ. So perhaps, although we haven't met for the last time we had a meeting, we had that gathering. So we haven't met for a while, but I'm going to suggest that we skip the updates and move into the agenda to catch up a little bit. So our goal, thank you. Thumbs up are a good way to communicate. Thank you so much, Hannah. You're doing a fabulous job. Our order of business is approval of the minutes, if we can do that, officer elections, and then to jump into debriefing our meeting, the Deliberate Downtown Growing by Design, and then talking about whether we want to continue to meet this way for the next couple of months, and depending on how that works out, move forward into thinking about what we would do as we move forward.
This is MJ Adams. I'm making a motion that we table the minutes as people recently just received them and that we put them on the agenda for next month.
Is there a second?
Second, George.
Favor? See lots of hands. Lori, can you see all those hands? Are there any objections?
I might prefer the eye, but okay, now I see them.
Okay, great. Are there any objections?
If you prefer the I, you can do a roll call vote on us.
I won't bother for this particular thing, but there's just some people aren't on video, and that's the only reason, so.
Okay, thank you. So let's move on to officer elections. So I'm opening the table to motions for, well, whatever the word is, nominations. That's the word I want. Nominations. So we have 3 positions that we have on SGIC committee. We have a chair, we have a vice chair, and we have a secretary. So let's start with the chair.
MJ has her hand up.
MJ.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Hannah Rexhoffen to be chair of the Sustainable Greenfield Implementation Committee.
This is Marlo, I second.
Okay.
Five.
Should we
This
take,
is George. I don't know that we need, I don't know that we need seconds for nominations. I'm just not sure procedurally.
are there any other nominations? Okay.
I'd like to nominate Nancy. Mike
This is
Pattadino.
Nancy. I would like to decline. Thank you so much for nominating me.
Okay.
So now, are there any more nominations? So the procedure, should we vote on the chair and then move on to the vice chair? Do one at a time? I'm here, everybody's got her thumb in the air, so, okay. We will move in that direction. And so I guess in this case, we need to do a roll call, is that right? Okay. So Lori, do you want to call out the names, or Lori, you want to call out the names? How do we want to do this?
I
Can
suggest
you do
Lori
it?
calls the name.
Oh, you want me to call the name?
Lori, call the names, and then we'll give yay or nay.
I think that's easier.
I'm sorry, this is Carol. Does Hannah need to accept the nomination first?
She has no choice.
I do accept, and greatly.
Thank you, Carol.
So all those in favor? Lori, you're going to do the roll call.
Okay, Nancy,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Jay. Jay there?
Yeah, I said yes.
Sorry, didn't hear it.
Aye.
Hannah, can she vote?
Yes, she can.
Yes.
MJ,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Marlo,
Yes.
Phil. All right, did I get everybody?
Jacob,
Me, but yes.
Jacob an official member yet?
I would say he is. It's a mayor appointed position and all of his paperwork submitted.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
Jacob.
exciting. Realize.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think that's everyone.
And Tara?
Tara, oh my God, I didn't have you on my list. Tara.
God.
I'm very supportive.
Did Tara say yes?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Oh.
Anyone else? All right.
Phil, did you get called?
I did, thank you.
Okay. Okay. So now we're going to open the floor. Oh, congratulations to Hannah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Fabulous.
Thank you.
Now you have to run the rest of the meeting.
Right now?
Just joking.
As soon as we get the vice chair and the secretary, yes, I think that Hannah will take over.
Geez.
So I'm going to open the nominations for vice chair.
I'd like to nominate George.
This is MJ. I would second that.
Any other nominations? We will close the nominations for vice chair. And Lori, could you please do a roll call?
Can we first check with George if that's acceptable to him?
Thank you.
It is a surprise, but I will accept with, thank you.
Yay.
Thank you.
Okay. So voting on George for vice chair. Nancy,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
MJ,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Marlo,
Yes.
Phil,
Yes.
Jacob,
Yes.
and Tara.
Yes.
Okay.
Congratulations, George.
Yay. Thank you, George.
Thank you.
What a team. Okay, so we have one more position to fill, and that is the what we call the secretary. And floor is now open for nominations for secretary. I'd like to nominate Bill Elmer, although we haven't been on the committee long. The liaison with the city council, I think, is really important, and Tim Dolan played the role for a while.
Can I ask what the duties are?
Reviewing the agenda and being adding to it, but there's no, you don't have to take notes. Lori takes the notes, and just part of the team. So there's 3 of you instead of 2.
Okay, I accept.
Question,
George.
clarification? Clarification, if Lori were not present for some reason, would that duty fall to the clerk of taking minutes?
Historically, not necessarily.
I will share that if Lori is unable to attend, Community Development Office will provide backup staff for the minutes taking. The committee serves as our Citizen Advisory Committee, so I can allocate staff time to support it with minutes. This is MJ speaking.
Thank you.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I will close the nomination. And Lori, could you do a roll call, please?
Sure. So this is for Phil becoming secretary. Nancy,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
MJ,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Marlo,
Yes.
Phil,
Yes, and Marla, thank you for taking whatever was in front of your camera off.
Like the little slider on the laptop got pushed halfway. It was a rough day in EOC.
Now I can see you.
I just want to support Marlo's statement.
Couple more.
Congratulations.
Jacob for the vote.
Yes.
Jacob, yes, and Tara.
Yes.
Great. All set.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I would like to turn the meeting over to you, Hannah. Take it away.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, thank you all, and to all the new officers. This is very exciting. The next thing that we had on our agenda was to talk about our community gathering in February, which I thought was very successful, and I've gotten amazing feedback since then from all corners. So I would love to just open it up if anyone has things that they want to say or share. I have some thoughts as well, and maybe we can just chat about it for a little bit and hear from everybody.
This is MJ speaking, and I just want to say the irony presents itself that we just did this major effort about community engagement and then told everyone to stay away from each other. So I believe that the energy and the excitement and the energy that we generated during that will just overwhelm us when we get the opportunity to be less than social distanced with each other.
Absolutely agree with that. So one thing I noticed on the evaluations and had already been feeling as well is that social distancing notwithstanding, there feels like there's an appetite in Greenfield for more sort of open forums like this. And there was a comment in the evaluations that if there was some sort of monthly gathering with a different topic and different panelists, that people would be interested in attending that. Is that something that this group feels would be helpful? Is that frequency too much? Or I don't know. Yeah, George.
I think I saw that comment and I appreciated the enthusiasm of that comment. I think that frequency would not be sustainable either from a planner or an attendee point of view. I think the rhythm we've been having of every other month makes more sense. Having them frequent, but not that frequent. I don't think that's sustainable. I had another thought, if I could.
Yeah.
So I don't find a way to raise our hand, a hand raising button here. So, but one other potentially tangible thing coming out of this was there was discussion of in some response about volunteering. So joining committees. We obviously have one very real tangible result of that with Jacob, you being here. So welcome. That's fantastic. But I wondered if anyone, MJ, for example, if people are aware that there's been any influx of people expressing interest in town boards or committees after that event.
Not aware of any specifics on that, George, but am happy to think that people who are sheltering in place and trying to figure out how to connect, this might be something that we put out as a call and say it's time, that this is how you do it if you're interested in doing it. So we're looking for ways to reach out and to help people feel connected with each other, even though we have to stay distanced from each other. And I'm sorry, we've been really hard trained on the distancing piece in the emergency center. So we are reiterating it in every sentence I will say. You will hear something about maintaining your social distancing. And Marlo will, I can't even get 6 feet close to Marlo. We work in the same office right now. So the answer is yes. I think that this is really an opportunity for people to feel about how they want to reconnect with community, and we will certainly put opportunities out there for folks.
I did get the name of someone who liked to help. She's the receptionist at the veterinarian I took my dog to, and she just said, I'll do anything. She was willing to do research, but I said we were looking for committee members. So I've got her card here, and send it to anybody who wants it.
I think that what we'll do is know that with Mayor Martin, there was actually a volunteer application. Lindsay, help me out on this. People were interested in serving on boards or committees, they could actually go to the website. I don't know where we are with that at this moment. But I do know that that was the prior process, and I can certainly check in with the new leadership about where we are in terms of recruiting people onto boards and committees.
I'll offer that I did reach out to Jeff Saucer, having heard of his planning experience about the two openings on the planning board, and he indicated he would probably not have the time available for that, but he is considering.
He'd be great.
Yeah.
I just also want you to know that because and what they're doing with the collaborative workspace, they're actually being pulled into a regional group of young developers by the Transformational Development Initiative, and that's we are the first one in the state who are not a gateway city, who have local members who are invited into that cohort. So actually, by the work that Jeff is doing, he's actually being pulled into a broader statewide initiative to work with the planning initiatives that we've been talking about. And I think his time and his commitment to that is very time well spent.
I'd just like to add that Jeff gave me a tour of those two places, and it was so inspiring. And what really stuck with me is he said Greenfield's full of unused office space, but nobody wants it because it's moldy and it doesn't have the right electrical connections and the internet. He says, if you put the money in and fix it up, people will come. He was very enthusiastic about how many people who living in nearby cities, how attracted they are to the lively downtown. I had to sort of not smile, but they see it as lively, and that's great. It was really heartening.
Other thoughts about the event or new members or anything? Anyone need to get anything out there?
I thought it was Jay here. I thought it was interesting in the evaluations how often GCC was mentioned.
Yes.
And what a rather amazing impression they made on people.
Yeah.
And I think it bodes well for getting them involved as much as we can.
Right. Have we sent the evaluations off to the panelists? Because I was impressed also to see GCC mentioned, but also to see Rachel was highly mentioned also. I think that would be very valuable to send off to our panelists.
I'd love to share that if that's good with everyone.
It's fine.
I will do that.
What happened to the Hive, by the way?
What happened to it? Is it moving?
It's moving. It is relocating from the former World Eye store location to it appears to be the second floor over the Greenfield Gallery.
Oh. Okay. Good, bad, indifferent?
It's not good. I don't think their business model could sustain the rent at the bookstore.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was a big reason for the move, and also Rachel's involvement made the second floor of the gallery a very helpful space to have the makerspace be tied to. And she's currently looking at the ADA accessibility of that second floor and addressing that.
Yeah. Some of the I just wanted to say that I think some of the achievements that were listed there, I think I knew too much about the zoning changes. Because I'm on the Economic Development Committee, I'm in the middle of Pam and Otis's proposals, and that's a work in progress. I'll only say that much. I think there's a deal in sight, but how it's going to get sorted out is not clear. The mayor and the planning department have to have buy-in on this thing, it won't happen. But the two counselors have made a lot of compromises, and I think I can sort of see a deal, but it gets made. It's not clear. Chuck Roberts is sort of on the case now at the planning board.
George?
Yeah, in relation to what Phil's talking about, the thing I was going to mention that was heartening to me related to master plan was these proposals were brought forward in the context of some of the goals of the master plan, and I was very heartened by the enthusiastic amount of public input at the 2 sessions of hearings. So I think it's just, again, similar to the forum, it's great to see lively democracy in bringing these ideas from the master plan to life, and people coming in with different perspectives to enrich the discussion. If I could for a moment get back to the original point I brought up about, there is on I think the 3rd page of the evaluation a highlighted section of a particular individual with her phone number asking to learn about open committee and board positions. I didn't know if that person was followed up with, or if other attendees, if their contact information might be people who'd want to follow up with about potential interest.
If I can ask, kind of just for my own edification, what is usually the process of when someone expresses interest, and if multiple people express interest? I believe there's 1 position open right now. Is that true, or 2?
What committee are you talking about?
Ours.
Well, this person's referencing various committee and board positions.
Oh, just for information in general. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I think, this is MJ. I think that, like I said, in the prior administration, there was a process that was pretty public on the town website in terms of how people applied into or for consideration to be added onto boards. But we will follow up on that and get that out to you, and you can make a decision on whether or not to send that out to individuals. I don't know the level of detail that you have in terms of that particular individual, but as a follow-up, how people might get involved. I will share with you at the moment, though, that the city resources are pretty stretched given the current situation. So we will do our best to get that to you, but it's not going to be at the top of the priority list.
And I would say that's all the more reason for the efforts of volunteers such as ourselves to supplement their employees' efforts.
George, would you be interested in reaching out to that person on the who put their number on the evaluation?
Yes.
Awesome. I think one thing that came through to me and is clearly evidence of being here, which is phenomenal, is that both at the Dar Williams panel and our panel, youth was brought up a lot, and spaces for young people and interest of young people. And in preparing for the panel and one-on-one, when I sat down with Michelle from GCC, she talked a lot, and it was a surprise to me about how many students at GCC talk about wanting to stay in Greenfield, that's a really important thing to them. They've grown up here, they've grown up in the surrounding area. It's been a major driver for GCC in developing in their workforce development program. So I think anything that we can sort of start thinking about ways to encourage different entities in Greenfield to create spaces or lift up spaces where young people are able to gather, able to perform, able to get mentors, able to get internships, anything where we're really engaging younger people, there's a need for that and an interest in that, I think. And Jacob, I don't know if you have anything you want to say to that. You don't have to, but
Yeah, I think those are fantastic ideas, but it's interesting because while there may be a interest in Greenfield as a whole at GCC, I found at my high school it's almost the exact opposite, and the majority of people are ready to ditch this place as soon as possible.
I think we can all understand in high school.
Jacob, can you tell us what high school are you at? Greenfield High School?
Yes, Greenfield.
Great, thank you.
I'm a junior.
Jacob, is that because they want to get away?
Oh, could you repeat that?
I'm just remembering my high school years, and I was desperate to get away from my parents. And the further, the better. That was my motivation for leaving the town.
Right. It's developmentally appropriate to want to get away.
Yes.
So if the parents leave, the kids will stay.
All right, we have a new mission, new chapter for the next plan. Excellent. No, Jacob, I think that's a really good point. And so maybe it sounds like, not necessarily gearing engagement of high school students towards trying to keep you here, but maybe there's an element there of at least being able to engage you guys in Greenfield in a way that feels like for the rest of your time here, you're not just miserable and itching to leave.
Sure, yeah.
A little bit better, because I totally feel you. I mean, I've left this area for a very, very long time with no plan to come back. And I think that is a very common feeling. And since I've been back, I've seen a lot of my cohort move back to the area too. So we definitely don't want to force you to stay, but maybe we can make it before you go in the meantime. Okay. Duly noted. That's excellent.
So this is MJ, and I used to say, I grew up in Northampton, and I used to say, I couldn't wait to get out of here as a teenager, and I couldn't wait to get back here as a mother. So Jacob, you and your cohorts we understand your need to go out and define the world, but know that you can come back here and raise your families, and we'd love that.
Yeah.
Correct.
Can I ask, Jacob, is there a formal internship program at the high school? Is there a way that you can put your name for it, or a way that business people or someone who could offer internship can put their name in?
Not that I know of off the top of my head, but I could certainly talk with the principal at the high school and ask her about getting that sort of thing set up.
I personally think that if we find ways to get young people invested in the community, that they might want to stay. Because I certainly wanted to leave my town when I went to college, but I got free college in the town I was living in, so I didn't leave my town. And then I got involved in a social justice organization, and I loved it so much that I didn't want to leave even once I graduated college. And I wouldn't have left if I didn't end up with other reasons that pulled me away. My husband got a job elsewhere. But so I feel like if we offer opportunities for to get involved in their community and feel invested and connected with
is a very important word there. As a lot of students think that Greenfield has a lack thereof. Particularly, they think that starting a family in Greenfield or starting a business in Greenfield will go anywhere. There's support. And if
It doesn't look like rich pickings when you walk down Main Street, but you can start all kinds of business on the internet, and nobody cares where you are when you do it. And Greenfield is actually attracting people who know about the internet. It's become a little bit of a hub for that. So you might consider that. Your friends might consider it. Over.
Hannah,
Yeah,
it's obviously a great discussion. I just want to offer a time check. We have 22 minutes left in the meeting.
absolutely. I'm going to keep this as an item to talk about more. And Jacob, if you don't mind, I would love to hear more from you either at our next meeting or over email about ways that you feel like your age group would like to be engaged and might be open to be engaged. Is that cool?
Yes.
Thank you. That's great. Anyone else? Items on our last community gathering? It sounds like continuing a bi-monthly thing is sounds more sustainable. A great idea. Sustainability being a great idea. People think of the format of it. Is that something that we want to sort of try and keep going with, a panel and a community discussion? I did notice in the evaluation some options, some comments on the Q&A being longer. Yeah.
I think the Q&A should be focused on a little more.
Mm-hmm.
Can you say more about that, Jacob?
Well, it's just there were a lot of people who had questions that they didn't end up getting to, and I think that them interacting with Greenfield business owners is a lot more important than the business owners saying why they're there, like, or what their business is about. We could read about it elsewhere, but we want to know like very specific things.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I thought one of the reasons the panel worked so well was because the panel was so good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was successful because of the quality of the panel, not the structure necessarily.
Okay. Other feelings on that subject? I agree. The panelists were, awesome.
I would argue against a bi-monthly plan, and really a successful meeting should have sort of a reason to be. And if I think the reason comes first before the date, but that's mine.
I hear that. I think I would push back a little and say that, especially looking at the evaluations and the scope of the plan, I think one of the needs that I see around gathering is a space for people to interact with and raise their voices around what's happening in Greenfield. And I see our role a little bit as looking at the master plan and then looking at the community and creating a space for that to be talked about outside of a city council or planning board or what have you meeting in a little bit more of an open forum. And I do think there's demand for that. But I hear what you're saying. I think if we don't have a topic, we shouldn't push it. So we might not be able to meet in person anyway. In the interest of time, do we want to talk about do we want to sort of put down the debrief and talk about our next meetings and continuing to meet? Yeah, George?
I would just suggest we plan to do this next month and take it a month at a time. It's an evolving situation. No reason to go beyond that.
Okay. Great. And we did have a question out there about changing to the second Thursday of every month as opposed to the fourth. Thoughts or feelings around? Yeah.
What's the reasoning behind it?
Nancy, did you want to speak to that?
Hi, this is Nancy. I was the person who proposed that, and it was completely selfish. As a person who's retired, it turns out I have a meeting, an important meeting, once every single week of the month, which makes it very difficult for me to go away and do things that I want to do. So I just was trying to consolidate my meetings.
Very fair.
This is Carol, and I will not be able to make the second Thursday of the month.
Oh, okay.
Given that the proposal was on the table to change the weekly meeting, I now have meetings every Thursday of the month. So I couldn't ask the whole Public Safety Committee to wait to decide when to have meetings until this was determined. So I can do what I can to try to attend at least part of the meetings going forward. And it's for the Public Safety Committee, so I think we'll only be meeting twice a month for a few more months anyway.
So, Carol, you're saying that your fourth Thursday, is that when you have the safety meeting?
The second and fourth.
Oh, I see.
First and third is Library Committee.
Thank you for clarifying.
George?
Since we're at this point, we're meeting remotely anyway, and you could meet from another location. Do we want to, based on Carol's input, do we want to table a final decision about this and go with the fourth next month?
All in favor of that? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So let's keep our meeting next month. I believe it's April 23rd. And we'll plan to meet right here again. 5. We'll see where we are.
The privacy of our homes.
Yeah, right?
For people who have used Zoom, is this better than Zoom? Is Zoom better than this?
No, Zoom is way better.
I agree.
I second that. Love Zoom.
I do. Is there a rule about us using WebEx?
No, there is no rule about using WebEx.
As long as that.
And we can support both Zoom and the only rate limiting factor with Zoom is the 40-minute limitation.
Right.
Can't you get more minutes if you pay?
You can, but we don't have a budget for that. Thank you.
It's $15 a month. So.
Does anyone have? Yeah, George.
I was just part of a meeting today when the time went off, and then it was 2 minutes later it resumed. But I don't know how that would play with open meeting law.
Yeah, there is a way to play with Zoom, so you can schedule one meeting and then schedule another meeting that will start very quickly after the schedule of the first 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But I think that does sort of challenge the open meeting law intent. So I would suggest that even though we might like Zoom better, we sort of stick on what the city has provided for us.
Okay.
I'll accept that.
All right. I'll go over to the agenda very quickly. I think the last question that we had on there was what we're wanting to focus on in the next 3 to 6 months, which I know is a tough question without really knowing when all of this is going to resolve. But in our last 13 minutes, does anyone want to put forward things that they feel either from the last community gathering or in general it would be good to be focusing on, turning our attention to?
This is MJ. I would actually suggest that we sort of table the next best thing, because I think that we had some good response on the downtown conversation. It sounds like there's a lot of different angles you could go on that. We don't want the community to think that we're just distracted and hopping from one topic to another. I'd rather that give the intention that we're staying focused on the feedback that we got from them and move forward on the downtown question.
I think downtown is a pressing problem and
I
needs
agree. Opportunity. But yes, no, I agree. Absolutely. I think the downtown is very much on everyone's mind, Greenfield, which makes it a great thing to be involved with.
Is there any news about Wilson's? Has there been any progress?
Not that-
This is MJ. I can share that the mayor and I met with the owner of Wilson's a couple of weeks ago. His goal was to sort of work through where things were going with the co-op before making any other decisions about the rest of the building.
Great.
And do we know what's going on with the co-op?
You think you're at liberty to share? You can say no.
Well,
So don't mean to put you on
I'm
the
laughing
spot.
because another hat is I'm on the board of the co-op, and what's been public is that negotiations continue, and
Okay.
that still is the case.
Fingers crossed. Very cool. I think one thing for me that has been coming up in other conversations and other meetings, and especially as I move into this role with you all, which is very exciting, is I feel like it's a great moment, and perhaps while everyone is a little bit on pause, with the exception of Marlo and MJ, we're not at all on pause with the city, but while some other organizations and groups in Greenfield are on pause, it might be a good moment to kind of check in with some of those entities and see what they're working on, what they have going. The mention of Jeff and Jeremy's involvement in the Young Developers Conference, I think, is a great example. So to put it out there, we can organize a little bit more over email, I think, in the coming months. But if people have connections to different organizations, groups, offices, individuals, a good moment to kind of take the pulse a little bit and see what is being worked on. And even though things are on pause, there is still some forward motion in some offices. So I will write an email a little bit more clearly about what I'm thinking, but just to plant a seed with people, if it might be a good moment for inquiry. Um, 6:21.
And I'll pick up on that just to say,
Yeah.
thinking also of the co-op, this is a very obviously unusual time, and it is pushing people apart from their usual ways of connecting. But I know at the co-op we've been treating that as an opportunity to reach out more to people, connect people with various resources, linking people up with helping each other, people who need help, people who are willing to offer support. And I think as a community, we can use that as a model as well. This is a time when I'm sure a lot of us are experiencing, we're especially cherishing our connections with people, people we are seeing from a distance, getting out in the community for walks and stuff like that. And it's just so great to have some conversations with people. So I think that somehow keeping that spirit in mind and trying to think of how we might, we talked about the social capital idea, and it's all the more precious when we don't have the casual options to gather. So I just wanted to throw out that notion.
Yeah, that's great.
The spirit of COVID-19. People are especially friendly walk around and keep your social distance. Nice.
Yeah, very true. A friend of mine posted on Facebook today in an effort to kind of quell the sadness at empty playgrounds and empty streets and so on, but rather seeing that social distancing as an act of love that we're sharing with one another, which I thought was very kind and very sweet. It was a better way to think about it in the midst of a crazy workday. All right. Quickly about social media, I don't know how many other people's lives have been completely taken over by social media at this moment. But is our social media something that we want to be using a little bit more right now? And if so, are there specific things that people feel like we should be or could be sharing? Or does it feel like...
This is Carol.
Yeah.
So the mayor's office had asked that they're trying to do a unified front. So the Sustainable Greenfield page has been posting what the mayor's office has been sharing.
Got it. Okay.
And other than that, there's it just doesn't seem to be a time to do much else.
Okay.
I've shared some things related to like free meals and resources for the community.
Perfect. All right.
Hannah?
Yes.
I just wanted to add a couple of things in. DPW has kind of been deemed essential personnel. I add that we met with Rachel and we've actually found areas for bee boxes. So we'll be assisting her with bases and whatnot for that.
Great.
Also, Governor Baker wants critical infrastructure projects to move forward. We are. One example is we're just waiting for bids for design and engineering on the anaerobic digester. We have an OPM. And also the other project, Linewood Pump Station, is moving ahead. So we're still moving things a lot behind the scenes. I had to suspend the meter program for obvious reasons. We can't go into homes and businesses right now. But we're still doing our basic duties and projects behind the scenes. So I guess with everybody, cooped up in the homes and social distancing, we're still moving our critical projects forward.
That's awesome. Thank you. All right. Anything else from anyone? No? Well, I just wanted to say quickly before we adjourn that I'm aware that I'm one of the newer members to this committee, and I'm unbelievably honored to have been put in a position of chair today. And I just want to say that my background is in connecting people. So my reason for accepting this role was purely to be a connection point and an activator of things and bring a lot of energy to the work that we're doing. It's in no way to, think that I have all the history, all the knowledge or anything like that. So I just want to say I really appreciate it, and I'm really excited to work with all of you in this capacity. So, motion to adjourn, is that how we?
So moved.
All right, so moved.
Second.
Second.
All right, thank you all.
Just
And
one.
Raise your hands.
Just one last comment. This is Mike Patavina.
Yes.
I really want to thank Nancy for all the work that she's done as the chairperson for all the years. She's done a great job, and I think she deserves, our statement of gratitude.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Nancy.
And thank you, everybody. It's been a real pleasure to work with you, and I look forward to continuing to work with you. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And when we're back in person, we'll actually bring a cake, okay?
Yes.
Oh, you don't need to do that.
Thank you to Jay as well for support work.
Yes.
as vice chair.
Here, here. And
Yes,
Tim
thank you,
Dolan
Jay.
is in absentia. And Tim Dolan is in absentia. But Jay, thank you
Yes.
so much. Being my compadre the last or
Here was mine.
it's been 1 year or two, I can't remember.
I have no idea, maybe 3 or 4.
Oh no, I don't think so.
Time flies.
So we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Right.
All right.
Night all. Thank you.
Good night.
Hey,
Be well.
thank you so much.
Everyone.